Well, our trip to Los Angeles was so successful, we decided to go to San Diego.
Yes.
So last week, we just climbed on the Surfliner and took it up to LA, which is about that far from Fullerton. And we said, you know, it wouldn't be the Surfliner if you couldn't see the surf.
Right.
So let's get back on it. This time we'll go south.
Go south to San Diego.
And we'll go down to Old Town San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
San Diego's neat in general, but
it is.
Old Town is like, you know, Olivera Street in LA, Old Town San Diego. So it's kind of the sequel to what we did last week, only in San Diego. So check this out. So this week we're heading to San Diego instead of Los Angeles. So we're leaving from our same train stations.
Yes.
Because there's two of them here in Fullerton. And climbed back on the Surfliner. When you're heading south, you have to take Amtrak because that's the only train that goes south to San Diego. Same beautiful little depot, same beautiful setting here.
Isn't that cool?
This time climbing on a train to head south.
Business class, please board the first car on your right-hand side. And gentlemen on deck, stopping.
So when you're heading south from Fullerton, one of the first stops you come to is Anaheim.
I know.
Right back to Disneyland.
Yes.
This would be a great way to go to Disneyland if the train went to Disneyland.
Now arriving in Anaheim, this is
Anaheim?
Yes.
That's Disneyland.
Yeah, it is.
We gotta go to Disneyland.
We gotta go to Disneyland.
Oh, that's what we came to do, is go to
It's
Disneyland.
Christmas.
Feliz Navidad. Christmas at Disneyland.
Absolutely.
In San Diego.
We have been
at
looking
Los
forward to this
Angeles.
all year.
That's true. That's true.
Yes.
And this is, of course, the Anaheim Amtrak depot.
Wow.
We get used to all these really old depots. Nothing old about this depot.
Futuristic.
What would really be neat, though, is if they built the monorail from Disneyland over here. It's less than a mile. They could go straight down Catella to Interstate 5 and then right up the off-ramp to Disneyland. Wouldn't it be cool to be able to take the monorail to Disneyland?
Well, it would sure beat all that traffic and trying to find a place to park.
It'd be amazing. The only problem with it is I'll bet it would be so successful that it would overtax the whole Amtrak system. Everybody would want to take Amtrak and then ride the monorail over to Disneyland.
Yeah.
You know, Walt Disney wanted to build the monorail clear up to Burbank in the studio, and he almost pulled that off. But at the 11th hour, Los Angeles pulled the plug on the whole project because their share of it was $160 million, and they didn't want to pony that up. But how cool would that have been if they'd have built the monorail all the way from Orange County up to Burbank?
If they put the monorail in as far as Amtrak, they'd essentially have that.
In fact, they'd be connected to the whole of California. Anybody that wanted to come to Disneyland, you wouldn't have to park. Just take the train, take the monorail, and you're there. I do look a bit like Goofy. And he has a house there.
Boy.
I want to say the back lot, but it's actually Toontown. Well, unfortunately, we're not going to be going to Disneyland on the train because it doesn't go there.
But it goes down through here.
And this
Isn't
is
that
one
beautiful?
of the most beautiful. The surf and just, I mean, California is so amazing. And this line runs right up the beach all the way to San Diego.
It sure does, and it beats driving the freeway for sure.
Oh, anything beats driving the freeway in California. Good grief. This is so relaxing. This is the way to see California.
Oh, absolutely. Look at the beaches.
that is over there, but I think it's a building.
I think so too.
Oh, modern art.
And gentlemen, in just a moment, we'll be arriving at Oceanside. If this is your stop, please start making your way downstairs to the door closest to you. Once again, now arriving at Oceanside.
The only downside of all of this is that when we come up on these little communities, I want to stop and have a bowl of chowder and a glass of wine.
Sure.
It'd just be sort of fun. And you're on the train, so you can't.
Well,
You
yeah.
got to just stay on the train, of course.
Exactly.
There's no rule, however, about bringing your own clam chowder and your own bottle of wine.
Oh, you mean a sack lunch?
Exactly. Well, Old Town San Diego's not just the oldest part of San Diego, it's the oldest European community on the West Coast. Of course, the Native Americans had been thriving on this land for over 10,000 years. When the Europeans started arriving in the 16th century, they didn't really establish any communities until San Diego in 1769. Unfortunately, the community never really took off. It's kind of up on a bluff away from any navigable waterways. And so it just didn't really take off as a community. For the first 60 years, almost nobody lived here.
Seriously.
Yeah, the Native Americans thrived on this land. Do you know a third of all Native Americans lived in California? I just found that out.
That's interesting.
That's amazing. And that's before there were any freeways or even Disneyland.
Oh my gosh.
The natives were here just because it's California and it's a beautiful place to live.
Yes.
It took them 100 years to figure it out, but eventually they built the other San Diego to the south of
That's
here.
better.
There's a harbor.
There's a harbor down there, yes.
And so they built the new town down there in about 1860, and suddenly it took off and actually became a city. And in about 1911, Old Town finally took off because they built a trolley line out here.
That's what it takes sometimes.
And people actually started living here. The upside of all of that is the place has been preserved because the city didn't ever really grow up. It just kind of stayed the same for, over 250 years.
And I like it like this.
Oh, it's amazing like this. All of the original buildings all fell down. The oldest home here dates from 1830, which is still getting pretty far back there. And what it is now is just a really fun place to come.
I love going here to shop.
Oh, all the little shops and restaurants and entertainment. It's just a magnificent little place. Just has its original charm going for it.
Now, if you're looking for authentic Mexican food, this is the place to go.
I have absolutely no idea how many neat restaurants there are here.
I don't know, just spin around with your pointer finger and I'm sure you'll find one.
Absolutely. Everywhere you look, there's another Mexican restaurant. One nice thing about visiting right around Christmas is the sun goes down really early.
It sure does.
And yet the weather here is just spectacular.
Oh, it was fun to just walk around in shirt sleeves.
And here we are at night in spite of the fact it's only 6 p.m. So that just was really fun.
I loved it.
And of course, San Diego became part of the United States in the 1860s.
Sure did.
They didn't want to, but
No.
they did. And so these more modern buildings start taking on a decided look of the Old West.
Yes.
I expect to see Billy the Kid come in at any moment.
Or James Arness.
You know, there's another advantage to visiting this place in the dead of winter. You have the whole place to yourself.
This is true.
We were just kind of rattling around. We were the only one in these stores for the most part. But what an absolutely beautiful place. And it's just so hard to believe that it's Christmas time. Now, as we mentioned, this place was put on the map when they built a trolley line out here in 1911, and it's still connected to the rest of San Diego by trolley. In fact, they have a whole transit hub here.
They sure do.
And so we didn't ride the trolley. We were on Amtrak, of course, riding the Surfliner. But there's an Amtrak stop here too, and here comes our Surfliner to take us back up to Fullerton.
Yes.
Pacific Surfliner service for
Well, while we were having a relaxing ride back up to Fullerton, we started talking trains with the conductor.
We did. It was fun.
Unfortunately, because she was jack-jawing with us about trains, she forgot to announce Fullerton. So we went back to Los Angeles.
You sure did.
After missing our stop. So it was sort of like our previous trip up to Los Angeles, only turning right back around and heading right back to Fullerton.
business class. Please board the first car on your right-hand side. Please board towards the middle or rear on your left-hand side. We'll get it in during 700.
Well, we became accidental tourists.
We sure did.
We weren't planning to also go to Los Angeles again, but
No.
As they say, poop happens.
Yep.
Sometimes they use a different expletive for that. But
Yes.
and we really didn't want to go to LA at midnight when we were just
No.
planning to go back to our hotel and sleep.
But it was cool to watch my daughter's face when we roll in late. And it's like, how does it feel?
Yeah. Very not typical for us to
Yeah.
roll in late, especially
Well,
after accidentally going to Los Angeles.
Especially when it's usually the other way around and you're the parent waiting for the daughter to come in, not the daughter waiting for the parent to come in.
Yep. They were kind of concerned about us.
Yeah.
What happened to you? We went to Los Angeles. You did?
Again?
Again? Well, we weren't planning on it. It just happened.
Yeah, don't turn us loose, whatever.
The downside of mass transit, I guess, is don't miss your stop, or you're going to go somewhere you don't want to
Don't
go.
get the conductor talking in a big arm-waving conversation. They forget to announce the
Yeah,
stop.
fortunately, we were in good company because there was a whole bunch of disgruntled people in
Yes.
Los Angeles wondering why Fullerton never got
Fullerton went
announced.
by Whoops.
There were a whole bunch of people who
I
ended
know
up
we were talking trains.
accidentally going to Los Angeles because we started Jack John with the conductor.
Yeah, whoops.
Oops.
Yeah, all was good though.
But it was fun.
Yeah,
It was fun.
we chalked that up to experience.
Any
Yeah.
train ride is going to be fun. And especially going back to LA and
Oh, yeah.
to the Union Depot, because
Yes.
what the heck.
Oh yeah.
Well, if you haven't been over to the channel, do pop on over to the channel. And while you're over there, subscribe to the channel, because it's really cool that you will be notified whenever we upload a movie. Subscribers are just plain cooler than non-subscribers. That's a known fact.
That's right.
So you want to subscribe, and the easy way to subscribe is to click on the blue button, zoink, right down here. You see it? It says subscribe. Now, if you don't see it, it's because it isn't there. It may not be supported on your device. So you can either watch on another device or just go to the channel the other way, navigate over there, and subscribe from there.
We do have stickers though. We'll send you a sticker.
You
put
can
right
stick it on your
device.
cell phone that says subscribe. It won't work.
No,
It won't
it's
work.
a reminder. It's like a post-it note.
But zoink! Hopefully this time it's there, and you can see it right there that says subscribe. Takes you to the channel, makes you a subscriber, makes you cool, and notifies you whenever we upload a show,
Right.
which is every Sunday morning and quite often on other days too.
Yes.
Well, we're not sure how you found this movie on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring. And we will see you here again, but not going to Los Angeles.
Are you sure?
Thanks a lot. We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.